You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another incredible session of the African Father in America podcast. My name is Simon Javan Okello. I am in Seattle, Washington. It's exactly 6 a.m. in the morning, and I'm really excited to be here with you all. We have an amazing African proverb, but we also have an amazing guest today. Jen Bodhi is my special guest, and Jen is also with Mama Hope, and today again we are going to learn a little more about Mama Hope's campaign that is dubbed "Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is." We are going to learn a little bit about what's going on in Australia, where Jen is, and how how Jen ended up working with Mama Hope, how she ended up being in Kenya, Tanzania, and really why this work is important. And then we will dive into the three nuggets of wisdom for today. So maybe that's what we need to start with, so that we can just quickly begin the show and just keep things warm and moving. Before we continue though, I want to ask you to make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. And also, if you're on Clubhouse, make sure you share the link to this conversation. Thank you, Love, and I see you. Thank you for joining us for the show. If you are on YouTube, make sure you let us know where in the world you're joining us from in the chat. So our proverb today is from Ethiopia, and there has been a lot of good news coming from Ethiopia lately, especially because of the peace deal that was recently signed in South Africa, and the modalities of the peace deal were recently also being discussed in Kenya, I think yesterday. So that's really good. I know there's still a lot of suffering in Tigray, where a lot of people are still living in shelters. A lot of people are still unsure whether this is really going to hold. But I just hope that you all you've made it to this point. I think everything is going to be fine. Just work together and continue transforming your beautiful country. Where this proverb came from, the proverb says, restless feet might walk into a snake pit. Restless feet might walk into a snake pit. These are the three nuggets that are related to this proverb. The first one says that don't act impulsively or recklessly. The second one says be aware of your surroundings and potential dangers. And the third one says be patient and wait for the right opportunity before taking any action. Think about those three. If you want to really listen to them again, you can replay this video or this episode and just take your time and listen. But those are the three nuggets that were inspired by today's proverb from Ethiopia. The proverb says, restless feet might walk into a snake pit. Jen, when you heard this proverb, I would love to know, when you heard this proverb, what is it that came to your mind, from where you are? By the way,
Sure.
for those who are meeting Jen for the first time, I just want to elaborate a little more. She's doing some incredible work as the, strategy and advocacy lead at Mama Hope. And with that small introduction, I want you to add anything. I want you to, just speak about some of the great things you do with Mama Hope and some of the things you haven't done, you did before that as part of your introduction. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much, Simon. I'm really excited to be here and to be chatting with you. Yes, I am the strategy and advocacy lead at Mama Hope. So much of my job is getting out there and speaking to great people like you and having these conversations and sparking them up in all different places, which I think is really what led me to Mama Hope all along. That's always been one of my favorite things, is having these big, deep, powerful conversations with people all over. I'm not known for being the best at small talk, I tend to like to dive right in and get straight into the, straight into the real talk, which is why I love that you have also started this with, you start these conversations with a proverb, because I think it really gets the brain thinking. And I would say that when I first thought of this proverb, my first thoughts were really connected to the first wisdom of nugget that you shared there. In that I was like, maybe this sounds like, you need to not jump into things straight away. You should have a bit of a strategy. You should always be thinking a few steps ahead to make sure you're not just diving in without thinking about things. And obviously that aligns pretty well with my job, so I think that's where I went with it. But the more I thought about it, because I think at Mama Hope we have this really great balance as a team of having the people that slow down and think, and then having the people that like hustle forward and make the moves. And I think that's why we've done so well as an organization in the past. So then when I thought more about the proverb, what it really came down to for me, I think, is not being restless in terms of grounding yourself in your values. So always, coming back to, is this move that I'm making, is this step that I'm making aligned with my values as a person, and obviously, for Mama Hope as an organization, and using that always as your North Star to keep clear of all those snake pits and things that might be out there. So yeah, that's kind of where I landed with that proverb.
That's beautiful. I love sharing African proverbs with people who are not Africans, just to understand how, because I think wisdom is in every culture and proverbs are in every culture. So I just appreciated your response to it. And it definitely shows that you've spent some time in Africa. While you were there, did you interact with proverbs at all, whether it was in Kenya or Tanzania? Can you say something quickly about that?
Oh gosh, yes. I think even so, my husband is here with me in Australia. He's Tanzanian as well. So I think there's very often things that there'll be a situation or something come up, and he'll always have in Tanzania we'll say this, in Tanzania we'll say this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes so much sense. And of course, the best part is he's always explaining it to me in Swahili, and I'm like trying to keep up with my Swahili, and he's like, come on, what am I saying? And I'm like, okay, I got this. So it's a lesson in Proverbs and a lesson in Swahili all wrapped up in one. But I think Swahili is such a beautiful language in the way that it puts its words together. So I'm always appreciative of hearing things from that perspective too. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I can't wait to hear your favorite Kiswahili proverb or anything in Kiswahili that you want to share with us. So think about that. Maybe you can share with us that at the end of the show. But sure. For now, I want to talk to you about something that is dear to me. I always ask all my guests this question. What is it that happened in your childhood that drives who you are as a leader today, especially for you at your capacity at Mama Hope, where you are the strategy and advocacy lead? What is it that happened long time ago that really defines who you are, especially with your role now? I always tell people about a story when I was around 8 years old, and I was distributing milk and bread in our neighborhood on a bicycle. So every morning before school, that was my job. And there were other distributors that were grown-ups. I was the only kid in school that was doing that job. And it's because my mother owned the business. So I had to help, And it was one of the times in my life that transformed who I am today. And also, it's what makes me wake up every morning and want to show up so early in the morning and want to do the work I do with One Vibe Africa. So I ask my guests, what is that for you? Share with us.
Yeah. I love this question so much. It's funny you talk about your mother, because I don't know that there's any one particular moment or anything like that, but I do know it's very much down to my parents, and I think instilling this sense of curiosity in me. I can say I don't particularly remember this, but there's a story my dad tells about when they were moving to the area that we still live in now. I've just recently moved home, so I'm moved back home to my hometown, which has been a whole wonderful journey in itself. But my dad tells a story of when they were looking for the town to live in, not sure where to go, where are we going to raise our children, where's a good place, those kinds of things. And he tells a story. He drove into our hometown, and they were driving past the sports field. And Simon, I don't know if you know cricket, but it's a big game down here in Australia.
Yeah, I do. It's popular in India too. It used to be popular in Kenya, but I know cricket.
Great. Well, yeah, so very, very big down here. And my dad said that he looked at the cricket field. There was a game going on, and he saw a multitude of different people from different cultures all playing together on the field. There's a Sikh man bowling, a white guy, batting, Indigenous First Nations folk on the field. And he was like, this is the kind of town that I would want to raise my children in. I want them to experience, all the different people in life, and be able to stay connected and learn and understand that there's not just one way of thinking or being. There's no one standard. And so nowadays when he tells that story, I can see, when I look back in my childhood, I can clearly see, those things showing up in my life as a child consistently, thanks to my parents. Wanting to just expose me to all different types of things. And I think that really triggered my curiosity about the world, because I think a lot of times you hear on the news, especially growing up in the West, we're on the TV, everything's majority white, all of these things. So you're kind of getting one narrative all the time. But I was very lucky in the sense that I had all of these other different cool narratives around me that gave me a different perspective, and that kind of just triggered my curiosity right throughout, and gave me the confidence to seek out other things and explore different issues, and kind of also understand that sometimes what you're seeing on the news and about places like the continent of Africa, and it's not always the reality. And I absolutely have experienced, the whole other side of it, living there for the past 5 years. And that's the side that I want to share and talk about, and I want more people to know about. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel that you chose really great parts of Africa to engage with, and we will have many other conversations so that we can go deeper and just learn a little more about why Tanzania. Were you in Tanzania for the 5 years, by the way?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Excellent.
Yeah, I was in Kenya for a little before that, and then Tanzania.
Yeah, I love Tanzania, by the way. I just want to let everyone who is listening in to know that, I'm here with the incredible Jen Bodhi, who is the strategy and advocacy lead at Mama Hope. And if you've noticed over the last 2 weeks, we've been hosting incredible leaders who are involved with the work that Mama Hope is doing in Africa, in South America, and really across the world. So I want us to go a little further into what makes you proud of the work that you do with Mama Hope. What is it that
Sure.
if you had a chance to, quit now and you didn't have to do anything with Mama Hope, what is it that you'd say, this is the one thing that I will always remember this
Sure.
organization for, and this is why I'm involved with Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, the biggest thing that comes to mind is the fact that since Mama Hope was founded, before I was part of it, Mama Hope's been around for almost 15 years now. They've been championing community-led change and the idea of locally driven solutions, and building on local leaders and local communities' ideas for that entire period. And back then, that was kind of an idea that was a bit sitting on the fringe. It wasn't embraced very widely in the global development community. And up to now, or over all of those years and up to now, you can see that this idea of community-led development has really taken hold in the global development sector. And just being part of an organization that has pushed for that for so long, since before it was popular, since before it was, trendy, since before it was the new thing, I think that's something that I'll always be really, really proud of. It's the thing that attracted me to Mama Hope in the first place. And it's just, it's very exciting to see that now this idea is reaching even the biggest organizations in the sector. And so I guess now the thing is really just to make sure all that talk is followed up with the actual resources. And I know that's why, we've started this campaign, and why we're working with One Vibe Africa on it as well. I think, just really, really proud to have been working with an organization that has, championed something for so long and now seeing it actually come alive in the sector is really powerful, actually.
Yeah, that's totally true. I truly believe in the work that Mama Hope is doing too, and that's part of why I'm excited to, to host you and all the other people that we've hosted here during the last week. From Miley to Dennis yesterday, and today here with you, Jen. I'm just looking at the Mama Hope Instagram profile, and I'm seeing, a post here with some of the stats that really even deepen our understanding about why the situation is really serious when it comes to this idea of community-led development. There's a lot of funding that is being, sent to Africa, But Africa does not need charity anymore. Africa needs trade partners, and Africa needs capital, so that entrepreneurs and people who have ideas and organizations and movements can do what they think is best for Africa. But a lot of the time, I'm looking here and I'm seeing that there's a stat that, in 2022, 1.2% of global philanthropic funding was channeled towards community-led organizations, while there's a lot of talk that most of these big organizations are actually, not the money they are designating for Africa does not even get to Africa. So if you had the power and you are sitting, you've been asked to meet 3 organizations that could take action around this. Do you have the courage to speak about what these organizations could be, or what would you say about that? Because sometimes calling people out, calling organizations out, and actually seeking audience with them is one of the things that work. You know, for example, if you look at the Tigray, the Tigray genocide, I interviewed multiple people from Tigray, and you find that it's because of these kinds of platforms. It's because of the street protests that change happen, you know. So I want to give you a moment and see if you want to say something about that. But in a second, I also want to bring in a few of our guests, like contributors,
Sure.
who are joining us on Clubhouse, so that they can make a few comments on the proverb. And then towards the end, I want you to think about how people can actually help, you know. What can somebody who is viewing, what are the 3 things that they can do right now in order for them to support the work of Mama Hope?
Sounds great.
So I want you to say something about that, like if you had an opportunity to speak to the people that can actually redirect their resources to the community, who would those be, you know? Who would those
Sure.
be?
Oof, Simon, that's a big question.
Yeah, and also you don't have to have an answer, because for me personally, I'm sure there are resources out there where you can actually look on the website and see who is giving the most money to Africa, you know.
Yeah,
and where is most of this money going to, you know, because there's one thing about campaigning and saying what is going on, but also there's another thing of, okay, let's be specific. If it is the Gates Foundation, their headquarters is just here in Seattle, and we can reach people there and tell them, hey, this is the fact, this is what is out there, you know. And we are also Africans, we live here in the community, we want to sit with you to make sure what you're doing in Africa is actually helpful and it's true community-led development, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the things that I would say is that there often is this thing in the global development sector where, you know, organizations based in the US or the UK or whatever will only give funding to an organization that has the equivalent of a 501c3 registration, which is a charity registration in the US. That's as far as I know, that is the case with Bill Gates, with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and so it's very interesting that, you know, some of these big organizations will say they're funding the best innovations and the best projects and the best organizations around the world, but when you look at the details of who they give to, by and large, it's organizations with that registration in the US. So of course that means organizations that are, you know, majority run by people not from the countries that these organizations are trying to help. And so for me, I think that's one of the biggest things that I wish would change in the sector, is this concept that, I can only give to the organizations with these registrations in Western countries, because it's majority of the time it's actually not a requirement of law or anything like that. It's just a choice of the organization, where in actual fact, instead of funneling it through another organization, they could just give directly to these great community organizations on the ground, on the front lines, doing the work. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I would love to see change. And I also think it would be fantastic to have some kind of reporting structure that actually shows what is the percent of all the percentage of the funds that you are giving away as an organization, how much of it is going to community-led organizations. Because I think, especially in the last year, there's been so much progress in terms of talking about it, and lots of these big organizations. I know the Ford Foundation just launched a new program to work towards locally led solutions, and that's so fantastic that we're talking about it. But Mama Hope had a question to the Ford Foundation, like, can you tell us the percentage of the money that you're giving that's going, that as a part of this new program, how much of it is going to community-led, locally led organizations? So those are, some of
Yeah,
the
I
some
like.
of the big shifts, I think,
Yeah,
that would be really important to see.
I love everything you just said, and this is great, because now that we are talking about it on this podcast, we can actually also follow up with Ford Foundation together, so that it's not just
Yeah.
Mama Hope, it's all of us asking these questions,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the other issue that you spoke about, where there is discrimination based on whether you have a 501c3 status, or there are just barriers created. What kind of business are you? What kind of registration do you have? What's your zip code? What degree do you have? Can you really do what you're saying? Those are really, really important things to think about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
And
I,
there's
yeah,
one other that I think, would make a really big change too, is even a lot of the fundraising platforms, so the
yeah,
online giving platforms,
yeah,
a lot of those also require you to have bank accounts in the US or registration in the US to be able
yeah,
to sign up and use those platforms. So a lot of times smaller organizations registered, on the continent, in South America, in Southeast Asia, have to go through
yeah,
another Western-led organization in order to just even create a fundraising page,
yeah.
right? Like that's crazy.
We've gone through that. We've gone through that. I can't tell you how crazy that is. But these are the loopholes that ensure that colonialism continues.
Exactly.
And it's not right.
No,
It's not
it's not.
right, and policies can be changed. Policies can be put in place
Exactly.
to change. So I think that is now the conversation that we need to have, because it's possible to make change and document it and make it into law, so that you know a long time ago, when the Wright brothers were making these airplanes, nobody bothered what their registrations were, right? All these great innovations, I don't think they had to go through all this, you know but the
Yeah.
problem is, if you're African, and also here in the US, if you're black, you find that, yes, recently there are so many grants for black-led organizations, but these same barriers that you're talking about make it so that it's impossible to access this funding. And
Yep.
in fact, some of these grant opportunities cause people trauma, and people never want to even apply again, because of how everything is being managed around this. So this is a really important conversation that needs to be had, and a lot of actions that need to be taken. So,
Yep.
Jen, if you have a notepad and paper or pen, just take a few notes while we listen to a few of our friends who have joined us for the
Sure.
show today. And then, after we hear from Lavender and Stella and Brother Earth, I would love for you to, just reflect on what they say, but also share with us how we can support you and Mama Hope, and how we can stay connected with you and Mama Hope after the show. Hey, Lavender, thank you again for everything. How are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts in regards to this conversation, or today's proverb that is from Ethiopia that says, restless feet might walk into a snake?
Hi, Simon. Hi, everyone. Journey so far. My thoughts about today's proverb: restless feet might walk into a snake pit. What comes to mind when I read this proverb out loud and I replay it in my mind is that it tells us to mind our own business, to avoid trouble, we should mind our own business. Thank you, Simon. This is Lavender, and I'm done speaking.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Lavender. We are live streaming on YouTube, and there was I don't know if it's a spam or a bot or some of those people that show up and they just add some very, very inappropriate comments. So I tried to ban someone on the live stream. I hope it worked. If it didn't, and you saw something in the comments that is inappropriate, forgive me. So thank you, Lavender. Hey, Stella, how are you doing? Share with us what is in your mind in regards to this proverb. And also, if you have any comments to our special guest, feel free to share. Thanks a lot.
Hi, Simon. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jane. Thank you for joining us on the show today. Share your story. On today's proverb, which is from Ethiopia, I want to relate it directly to a Luo proverb, which is, I think they are extremely similar, that says, Jarik ni jamud nyoyo gikuoyo. And it reminds me of this proverb because growing up in school, we used to be told to take our time when answering the questions so that you don't end up answering your own questions, setting your own questions and answering them. Then you lose all the marks and fail your exams. So you are always told to be patient and read the questions, understand, then answer the right question. And when I saw the proverb, that's exactly what I remembered. And I love it because even the life lessons that we can learn from it are really important and very useful in our lives today. So thank you, and happy to be here.
Thank you, Stella. I appreciate you as well. Thank you for all your support. And let's hear from Brother Earth briefly as well. How are you doing today? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts on the proverb or comments to my special guest?
Peace and love, family. This Brother Earth. I'm coming from the North Carolina territory. And I came in on a conversation kind of late, Simon. But again, honest to you and everyone for doing what you do. And I like the way you approach things, Simon. You come at it from a solution base, and you are, constantly analyzing, trying to make things better. And I like that about you. And as far as the proverb, what it makes me think of, I used to have this uncle growing up. One of his favorite lines was, "You from Russia? Are you from Russia?" At first, I never did get it, but then he say, "Why you Russian? Why you Russian?" So one time, one of my cousins got this little girlfriend. He swear he was all in love. I done found the one, I got the one. This the one. I'm like, okay, I see the one. Take your time. You don't have to rush it. He said because a lot of time when you rushing, you'll rush into something. And sure enough, he ended up rushing into the relationship, getting a place together. She ended up moving on with somebody else, leaving him with the whole apartment and everything that he couldn't maintain because, he didn't listen to Unc. He rushed into something, rushing into something. And that's what the proverb reminds me of. So you have to be mindful of that. Peace and love, families, Brother Earth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Brother Art, yesterday I was driving with my daughters in the car and we were listening to yesterday's episode. And every day, you contribute and they now know you. They were asking, what's Brother Art's real name, So you have to tell me that because they will want to know. Brother Art, I need you
Peace
to
and
tell.
peace and love.
Yeah, go ahead. I
Yeah,
need you
I'm
to
right
tell
here.
me both of your names, because my daughters really asked me yesterday. And hey, I want you to also know that I deeply, deeply appreciate you being one of the most consistent supporters of the show. It means a lot. Go ahead.
Uh, it's no problem, Simon. You know, it's crazy, man, because I listen to it with my daughter sometimes, and she think it's funny. But my name is actually Marlon Tidwell. You know what I mean? And Marlon Tidwell Bay. And that's who
Yeah.
I am, Simon.
Yeah,
Big
yeah. I
vision.
think I think they are going to appreciate it, because your voice is very powerful. When you speak, somebody can't forget. So every day, they always, when it gets to your part, then they pay attention. When I'm saying something, or when someone else is talking, you hear them talking over the podcast we are listening to. So I just want you to know that your presence is deeply appreciated, and keep being you, and keep doing what you're doing. Um, and for those who are just joining us, including Jermaine, who is also another amazing supporter of the show, today I'm really, really privileged. I'm hosting Jen Bodhi, who is one of the amazing leaders of Mama Hope. Mama Hope is an amazing organization working globally, but really, putting leaders in Africa, especially in Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, in positions where they can actually implement their ideas. So Mama Hope gets them the money they need, builds their capacity, helps them build a network, and right now what they're doing is a campaign to not only raise more money, but also to call out some of these big organizations that spend a lot of money on experts, spend a lot of money on workshops and meetings and retreats. But all of this money is supposed to be going to Africa, to some of these leaders, like even me, some of this money needs to come to me,
Exactly.
so that I can run One Vibe Africa well, so that I can do more of this show. This show is needed, but a lot of this money just goes to air ticket, hotel bills, and things like that. So I just love what they're doing, and that's why, together with a number of people from our organizations, I've been hosting them, and I think I'll host a few more people. So if you want to support Jen, I just want you quickly to share with us where people can go right now in order to support the ongoing campaign, and also speak about the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. I really loved what Brother Art, or as we now know, Marlon, said about being solutions based, because really that's what the whole point of this Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is campaign is. There's so much talk about what can be done. And, we are ready for that conversation to move into action. It doesn't need to be that complicated. Really, the solution here is get more money directly to community-led organizations. It's really as simple as that. We talk around it all the time in the sector, and all we need to do is just start following up with action. And so that's why we're calling our campaign "Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is." So if you're out there, and of course things have to start with a conversation always, and so that's one of the things that I would encourage people to do to support this campaign. Have a conversation about these statistics that we've shared, the problems with the sector, but then come at it with the solutions, which in this scenario is put your money where your mouth is. Now that you've had the conversation, donate. Find a local organization and donate to them. Donate to this campaign so that we can fund more locally led organizations, community led organizations. That is, those are the two biggest things that you can do in supporting this campaign. And yeah, we have all of our links to the website, to the donation page on our website, across all of our social media as well. They're all up there, and I think let's just put it all into action is basically what I'm saying.
Excellent.
Let's just get it done.
What's the website for Mama Hope? Can you give us the...
Sure. The website is www.mamahope.org. Nice and short and sweet.
I love it. I love it. So if you're listening, make sure you visit mamahope.org. And also if you're watching, make sure you look in the comments. We are going to add the website and also the direct link to the campaign, the ongoing campaign, put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we've been talking here about an amazing Ethiopian proverb. You know, the Ethiopian proverb says that restless feet might walk into a snake pit. And my guest here today is Jane Bodi, who is the strategy and advocacy lead at Mama Hope. And we've learned about, you know, an amazing childhood story that drives who Jen is. We've learned about her own interpretation of this proverb. We've had a few voices, you know, in today's conversation. And Jane, I wanted to bring Jermaine to say something, but I want you to just share with us something that you feel that is important that I might not have asked you earlier, you know, so that we can just hear this as part of your parting statements.
Sure. Do you want me to go first or Jermaine?
Oh, you go first.
Sure. You know, I think you really covered so much. I love the questions that you've asked. I feel like we've really been able to speak about, you know, really the important issues. But I think one of the things that I would say, especially I think to people that maybe have never been in the global development sector, have never worked outside of it, I always encourage people to really look a little bit deeper at, you know, the help that's being offered, because I think a lot of times people will look and say, well, what's the problem if I'm donating, or if I'm, you know, this organization's helping out, what's the issue? Isn't that a good thing? And one of the things that I've heard recently that's really struck me is there's another podcast that I listen to, a woman on there, her name is skipping my mind. You'll have to, it's 1 a.m. for me here, so I'm losing my brain. But basically, you know, it's basically saying the desire to help is a wonderful thing, but the desire to save people from themselves is not. And that's what we're talking about here, you know. So impact over intention, really. And so when you're looking at an organization, or you're looking at a system, like, look at what's actually going on, not just the intention. And I think that's a really important thing for people to carry forward as we do this work and we continue to champion community-led change, because that's the sustainable thing at the end of the day.
I love that. Thank you. Impact over intention, right? Yeah, I love that. I want to thank you again for making the time, and I know that you should be in bed by now. I want to thank you, and also thank our viewers and our listeners. I see that Farlene joined us, Ned and Rocky. Thank you for joining us, and of course Jermaine. I see that you're on a phone call, so we might not give you a chance to speak. But Brother Earth and Stella and Lavender, thank you for joining us, and also to everyone that I could not give a shout out. I know that there are many people watching, including Margot, who has been helping pull the strings on the Mama Hope side. I deeply appreciate you. And Lavender and Stella, thank you for helping make this show possible. With those few remarks, we've come to the tail end of our time together. Thank you again, Jane. Have a nice rest of your day. Oh, nice.
Thank you so much.
Hold on. Hey, Jermaine, go ahead. Share with us your thoughts.
I want to let you know that your daily Proverbs, has been, doing a lot of good things for people, because I hope you can allow me to post it on my status. And I have done so in the past. I hope it's not a problem.
No, it's not, man. It's not. You should post it, and I just love having you here. Share with us where you are. Are you in Jamaica or are you somewhere
Yes,
else?
I am. I am in Kingston, Jamaica, and I enjoy, from the time, and you're a pioneer on Clubhouse. I just want people to know that there was time when I could hardly get a speak in this room. That, and you have your African Day that you pioneer as well. You've been doing a lot of work, on Clubhouse in promoting Africa, Pan-Africanism, and just your whole lifestyle as a father, of three daughters, so, you are a man, and I honor you. So I, emulate you as, one of the greatest form of, adoration. So I copy and put it on my status, and people have been liking it, especially this one this morning. A friend of mine, which is his birthday today, Taji, yeah, he said it happened to him just recently. Him reckless feet, brought him into a snake pit, you know. So he was just reflecting on how not having intentions with your thoughts and with your, your function with your body can lead you to anywhere, like a ship without a sail. So you have to have intentional thoughts. You must be able to have aims, goals, and vision, especially of where you want your feet to be. If you want it to be in the companies of honorable men, or you want to your feet to be in a place where it's surrounded by snakes, and vipers. So it's all about clear thoughts. So that is my thought on the Proverbs for today.
Thank you, my brother. I deeply appreciate you. I'm so glad that we were able to create space for you, and I can't wait to connect with you more. I'll send you a DM on Instagram. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Thank you so much, and thank you, Jen. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow. We'll be here 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 5 p.m. East African Time. Jermaine, what time is it in Jamaica, by the way?
It's minutes after 9 in the morning.
Okay, great.
9:48.
Okay, great. So that's Eastern Standard Time, like the
Right.
east of the US. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you again, Jermaine, and thank you, Jen. Thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
Thanks, Simon.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by